Moving abroad is so exciting, I must say, but it's not without its challenges. And I would be lacking integrity if I didn't do a video expressing some of the difficulties I have been going through. Even though I've done this before, it's still new. I didn't have this consciousness when I did it before. And so I wanted to do a video just to prepare you, not to alarm you, so that you could be prepared and at least psychologically have the mindset to not be blindsided by anything. One of the most interesting aspects about it is the language. Even though I have a strong command for Italian, it's still fatiguing every day translating from Italian to English, English to Italian, especially for my mother, where I have to translate anything and everything. And she's not necessarily patient about getting the translation. And sometimes I'm still computing what the person is saying in order to translate it. So by the end of the day, needless to say, I'm exhausted. Now, as it relates to language, use of appliances, using a dishwasher, using a washing machine, using your daily household items in the States, the appliances in another country are completely different. The symbols are completely different. And I tell you, I'm just guessing and hoping for the best, hoping it turns on and washes, and let that be, because I have no idea what I'm pressing. So that's interesting. Number two, your US passport is a gateway, is a window into you seeing how well other people in other parts of the world are living compared to what you're living in the US. This is alarmingly so because you see how other societies have been developing, growing, improving, whereas the US has been, for the most part, stagnant for the last 20, 30 years. So it almost comes as a shock that they have this. Like if you go to, like how they say about China or South Korea or Thailand, and you're like, Japan, they're living in the future. No, their societies have been using the technology to improve their country's infrastructure. Not to say they don't have their issues, every country does. But you see that the country had a consciousness to move the needle along and improve the daily lives of its people. Whereas in the US, you see the degradation of the infrastructure, how daily tasks have become more cumbersome and difficult and challenges. And you're dealing with more and more bureaucracy and poor customer service, where you don't experience that per se in other countries. So you really see the delta of where other countries have doubled down on innovation, improvement, and advancement, and the US has not. So that's really alarming. And I did a video regarding, I think it was the quality of life a few months ago, which expounded on the wealthiest Americans don't even live as well as lower middle class people in other parts of the world, not even in the global south. And we especially see that with the recent fires in California. Many of the victims of the fire are upper middle class, people with a lot of resource and a lot of means, only to be met with poor infrastructure, poor building materials, and we see the end result of that. It's no longer, I'm wealthy in the US, I'm not going to experience poverty like lower working class, working poor people. The inequity is spreading, and it's indifferent to class, because that's how inequity works. If you need the fire department, it's irrespective of your class. And if the fire department does not have the tools and resources to put out fire, what makes you think it's not going to be you? And so we're seeing that. Also, as it relates to cost of living. If you look at how much people are paying for eggs in other countries compared to the US, why is eggs $10 in the grocery store? And this is not an economics challenge. What is it that the eggs in the US are doing that the other eggs are not doing, that there should be such a large price discrepancy? Why are eggs $10 in the grocery store? Whereas they're like $1, $2, say in Colombia? Crime. We also see the lack of resources dedicated to crime, and crime has become even more rampant in what is considered a developed country, the US. Despite having the #1 prison industrial industry in the world. That is what the US is number one for. Tanks and prison system. Why is there still so much crime? Cleanliness, lack of cleanliness in public spaces has become more and more alarming. And again, I always speak about the infrastructure, the crumbling roads, the highways, the train systems. New York City's train system, despite raising prices year after year after year, the infrastructure is still poor. Money is being mismanaged. Also, healthcare. I mean, I could talk forever about the poor healthcare system in the United States. How you can break your leg in another country or have an accident in another country, and the first question you're not met with is what type of insurance you have. You are treated. And you may or may not get a bill even though you are not a resident in that country. Whereas in the US, before treatment ensues, you're expected to pay, sign on the dotted line. They don't care if you're bleeding out. They need to get your social security number and your date of birth so they know where to send that bill when they're done delivering whatever medical service they're providing. Whereas healthcare is an everyday right for every country, with the exception of the United States. Whether it's the global south or an industrialized nation, healthcare is just part of their society. And I'm shocked that there's still Americans who aren't aware that every other country has some form of socialized medicine. The United States is the only country that does not. We deal with the newness of moving to a new country. Everything is new. Everything is new. Things that you automated in the US, you will now have to become familiar with in your new territory. So you have to be patient with yourself in adapting and understanding it's new. It's not that it's done incorrectly or it's done differently. It's just new to your everyday experience. And so that might invite, because of the newness, that might invite a certain level of fatigue in managing daily tasks, because your brain is working overtime just trying to piece things together and figure out things. Until it's automated, it will be new, and there will be a level of angst involved in that. So please be patient with yourself. Also, you may not be dealing with bureaucracy. It just may be unfamiliar. Don't get frustrated. It's just the way things are done that are done differently than how it's done in the US. And as it relates to that, a lot of people question my decision regarding Italy as to, oh, what about the bureaucracy? I'm like, bureaucracy? Have you not seen the bureaucracy in the States? Try buying a stamp. You have to wait on a line for half an hour just to purchase a stamp or mail something. So the US is not immune to bureaucracy and bureaucratic wait times. As a matter of fact, I see the bureaucracy in the US becoming worse. I mean, Trump just had to issue an order for all the federal work employees to return to work. Was there a degradation in providing services to the American people, which is why he decided to bring the alarm? Perhaps. But regardless, we know how difficult it is to navigate social systems in the US. And whether they're working from home or working in the offices, it's probably not going to be little to any improvement, because that's just the way it is. That's just how the country is run. Civil service is not a timely thing. Working for city agencies and state agencies, efficiency is not necessarily what they're known for. Also, decluttering. I'm a more of a minimalist side, and like I mentioned earlier in one of my videos, I've rented most of my time in New York, so I did not have opportunities to accumulate most things, because if you're living in New York, you understand that you may have to leave at the end of the year, so you're mindful as to not accumulate too many personal belongings. So I didn't even think I had a lot, but you realize how much you've accumulated when it's time to get rid of it. And you also realize how much money you've wasted in things that you do have to discard. I mean, they serve their purpose, but it is still a little pang, like, wow, I wasted some money. Time zone. Conducting business across 6-7 hours is difficult, especially because I'm a morning person. So I do my best work in the morning. So having to take a call, let's say at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 3 o'clock Italian time, 4 o'clock, which is start to wind down for dinner, is not without its challenges. It's not my best time to work. And so I must say that is a very frustrating time because I'm ready to wrap up by that time with all my projects. So navigating time zones is challenging. Also, recognizing that no matter how long you spend in the country, for the most part, you are still a stranger in someone else's land. And the locals will recognize you as a stranger. I don't look Italian. And so there's a curiosity with that. Some people even ask me like, oh, I'm concerned about racism. I'm like, I'll take Italy any day over racism in the US, like Jim Crow. I'll take Italians any day. And so, no, I have not experienced an iota of racism in Italy. I have been looked at as different. I think it's more curiosity that, oh, she's a foreigner. And so people straight stare at things that are different than themselves. They recognize me as a tourist, a foreigner. And so they look with curiosity. I don't compute it to be racism. Even when I got the keys for the house, there was a man walking by and he came and he introduced himself. He says, oh, I've been living here for the last 60 years. And welcome to the neighborhood. And he introduced himself. How often would that happen in the US? Now imagine if I was suspicious or circumspect, thinking, oh, he's just coming to kick me out because I'm a foreigner, or because I would have missed out on the opportunity to meet someone. I also realized holiday closures. I realized how many holidays other countries observe to give their workforce time off. The US observes so few holidays compared to other countries. And so how much we really do work in the United States without a break. Whereas other countries have built-in rest into their country's framework. Work is important, but rest is equally as important. So it's good to see how well that's prioritized. So you have to audit your life to be respective of these holidays. Everything's not going to be open 24/7 like it is in the US. So you have to do your grocery shoppings within the window of when things are open. And things are shut down. You have to manage your life to build whatever has to be built into those times of closures. The ideology of Americans, oh, I could do things whenever I feel like it. Oh, I can run to Target at 9 o'clock at night. Or I can do this at this time. You won't have that level of flexibility living in another country. You have to jump into the rhythm of that country. Things are not open 24/7. So your daily tasks have to be done in respect to their society's opening and closure. So that's interesting. It forces people, not force in the sense of punitive, but it makes people be a part of the community even better, rather than you being a lone wolf like you are typically in the US, doing things whenever you feel like it because no one can stop you. And that's my list of things I wish someone told me regarding moving abroad. Let me know if you want any further explanation regarding this. Let me know your comments in the comment section. If you have moved abroad and you're watching this video, please leave me a comment. Let me know your scenario or things that you wish someone told you regarding moving abroad. Also, I do have a moving abroad program. So if you are sold on the idea of moving abroad and you're ready to back yourself up, the information regarding my course and working with me is in the description box. As an attorney, I walk you through all the steps that you need to consider regarding moving abroad. As I've done it myself, I'm familiar with all of the things that need to be done. The visa requirements, finding housing, healthcare, dealing with your stuff in the US, as well as how to have a soft landing in the country you're immigrating to. So we walk you through all the contingencies so that you can have a smooth landing on the other side. So the link to work with me is in the description box. Also, if you are on the fence regarding your healthcare and you understand that the healthcare cutbacks, especially if you are a recipient of Medicaid or Medicare, and you're concerned about getting access to your medications in the near future, then begin to think about becoming a medical tourist. I have a trip approaching in March, and so we're lining up the dates. If you are concerned about getting your medication or getting tests done or seeing a physician, if you have a complicated health history, then this is a good time to really start thinking about alternative solutions, because it looks like Medicaid and Medicare is not going to be enough. Many people will have to consider that they are going to have to go to different countries to get their medical needs met. If you have questions regarding that, the link to speak with me is in the description box, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.